Today we're going to be talking about mastering AI search visibility. In all reality, you're going to hear people say SEO is dead. It's not dead, it's just evolving. In fact, I think one of the most important stats that I want to lead with, 60% of searches now generate AI answer before a single link is viewed. And if we think about how patients have been finding us online in the past, that's a huge fundamental difference. The way that people are interacting with AI is rapidly evolving. So today, some of the things that we're going to cover are things that you can do for your online presence to help you show up in those answers to the way that people are searching on AI. I am one of the co-founders over at Lasso MD. We fashion ourselves as a new patient acquisition platform, which is really just a fancy way of saying that we do marketing and software. We've been around since about 2018, so almost 8 years old. We've been working with Dr. Garg for almost 8 years. He's been a great partner of ours. So I'm honored to be here, honored to share this information with you guys. And just know that the information I tell you right now could very well change the next 6 months with how rapidly evolving AI is. So let's get into it. As I said, the search revolution has already changed how your patients find you. 3 years ago, patients found their dentist by typing in a search on Google, going through the results, looking at reviews, looking at your social channels, just basically checking out all your online channels to get a vibe for who you are. And that hasn't changed. People are still doing that. But instead of going straight to Google, they're now going to ChatGPT. They're using Google Gemini. They're using Perplexity. They're using, Claude is another one that's coming up. It's not as much for search right now, but I foresee it will be very soon. But what I want to talk about here is, in the past, search, click links, visit the website, call the office. Now it's ask AI and get a direct answer. And they're not just giving you a direct answer, but they're actually recommending providers. Instead of just saying, hey, here's a bunch of links to click from, make your own decision, they're like saying, no, you should choose this person, and this person, and that's why. And for people who are used to just clicking on links, that changes the way that we psychologically behave with these results. When someone or something is telling us, hey, this is who you should see, it's much more likely that that person is going to go visit that person. So what I want to show you guys today is how we go about getting you found on the AI engines. So traditional search versus AI-driven search. Rankings, clicks, keywords, website visits, organic traffic. Now it's summarized AI answers, conversational queries, early SERP influence, and SERP is search engine result pages. This means that the click-through rate is going down on those. So people are not going to click on as many links as they would in the past. Furthermore, AI citations and recommendations. This is the part that is the most important, and I will show you different techniques that can basically have you feature and credit as an authority, as a source within these different engines. So, as I've already been talking about, the old school look, it's like you're going into a library, looking at the different books, picking out which one you think looks best for you. The new look is just asking a question and getting those answers. I don't know, I'd love to see a raise of hands. Who here uses ChatGPT or any sort of AI? Yeah, it's a lot of us. I just showed my mom how to use it the other day. She's almost 70 years old. And she's like, Pete, I can't believe I didn't know this existed. She's like, I've heard you talk about it. You talk about it way too much. But she's like, I ask it everything now. I ask it, what kind of dog food should I feed my new puppy? How long of a walk should we be going on? Her husband, my stepdad, just had back surgery, and she's asking questions about back surgery to ChatGPT. My point is, we're living in a time where data is so accessible, and it's becoming even more accessible in a conversational way. I remember 20 years ago, 30 years ago even, when Google was first coming out, you had to do cryptic searches if you wanted to find the right answers. Google has changed, in recent years, we've been able to be a bit more conversational with it, but now it's completely different. You can have full-on conversations. And one of my pet projects over the last couple of months has been creating an AI clone of myself to where it'll help automate a lot of the redundant tasks that I do on a daily basis. I've taught it, here's the pricing that I offer, here's the way that I speak. I've given it access to all my communications, and it does a damn good job of replicating my voice. So really what you need to do is start utilizing ChatGPT if you're not already utilizing it for your business. In particular, I like Claude. If you haven't poked around in Claude, that one it's a game changer. Let's talk about the big four platforms right now that people are utilizing to research dental practices. We have your Google AI overview, which again is what you see at the top of those result pages when you're typing in a search. And as I said earlier, 60% of people are not even making it past that AI overview. Because if you click into the AI overview, it then opens up Gemini, which then you start chatting with Gemini. You're asking Gemini questions. Then we have ChatGPT, 200 million weekly users. Let that sink in. 200 million weekly users are going to ChatGPT. It is a significant chunk of them are asking health questions as well. Like, let's be real. The things that the majority of the population don't understand are these highly professionalized services, such as healthcare, legal. Like, those are the things that we do not understand for the most part. Gemini is Google's deeper AI. This is where the decide phase happens. They've already done their search, and this is where they're trying to be, okay, so what do I do if this happens? What do I do if that happens? And it's going to start to give you recommendations based upon that. In Perplexity, this is a tool that I don't use as often, but this is a great research tool. It's very citation heavy, meaning that the more that you can provide the answers to the most commonly asked questions and have it worded in a way that Perplexity wants it worded, the more often that you're going to show up. Really, Perplexity is used for that deep dive research. So in particular, this will be valuable for procedures like implants, where people are going to be doing a lot of research because they're about to spend a lot of money on fixing that mouth. So just wanted to give you the lay of the land in the four main AI engines that people are currently using. So let's talk about Google AI Overview. When a patient searches dental implants near me or best dental implant dentist in the area, before they see a single website link, they see an AI generated summary. That summary cites practices and names them. The critical point, this happens before the click. Patients review the summary, they read the cited practice name, they sometimes call directly. You ranking in Google's blue links, the organic section, does not matter like it used to. I run an SEO company. Our biggest line item on our P&L is SEO. So for me to sit up here and say SEO is dead, that should mean something. We're in the midst of a huge change where you're going to see all the SEO companies, all the marketing companies out there making a huge shift. But what I want to tie it back to is a good SEO strategy is going to encompass a lot of this. I'm sure you've heard people in SEO say content is king. Content is absolutely king in AI. The better your content is, the more likely you are to show up in their search results. Furthermore, there are specific things that we need to do in terms of structuring that content, which I'll get into in a little bit. I have a very strong feeling that paid ads are going to be the only thing that separates you from other practices in the coming years. Because if you think about it, and without spelling too much about what my company is doing behind the scenes, we're getting to a point where we have automated AI agents that talk to each other and can build a fully optimized website better than we could build right now in 2 days. So day one, client signs up, we send them 5 homepage designs to pick from. Then the next day after they pick their homepage design, that whole entire website is developed. That used to take my company 6 weeks to do that. But my point here is I'm not going to be the only person doing that. So what's going to make one AI generated site better than the next AI generated website? I don't know the answer to that yet. No one knows the answer. I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot to do with reviews. That's going to still be like the human aspect, which it is now. Furthermore, video content showcasing who you are, providing value and letting them see what it would be like to work with you at the practice. Like AI can't generate that. I mean, they probably can, but it's a different story. And then paid ads. I think Google has always made their money from paid ads. The reason that Google has become the behemoth that they are is because they have so many eyes on their search engine. They don't make money off of SEO. What they make money is off the ads, and they own 1,000 different companies at this point. Now, Gemini. So Gemini is Google's AI product. There's a race going on right now. Back in the day, it was Google versus Yahoo. Now it is Gemini versus ChatGPT versus Claude versus Perplexity versus any other AI that pops up overnight. It is truly an arms race. Who can give the best information in the best way and get the most users on it. I do see there's going to be some consolidation. Like, I don't know if you guys follow AI too closely, but there was this new tool that was recently created called OpenClaw, which basically is an agent that will go out and do everything for you. If you're going to look into it, make sure that you set it up on a standalone product that has access to nothing sensitive, because it could go off and do a lot of bad things that you don't want to do. But the person who created OpenClaw just got bought out by OpenAI. They're like, hey, here's $200 million, come work with us. So you're going to see a consolidation as these AI companies try to solidify themselves in the marketplace. But Gemini right now pulls from three main sources: your Google business profile, your reviews, and your website content. And I know Google business profile and reviews are synonymous, but there's other information that's going to be on your Google business profile, such as your website, the products or services that you offer. And strangely enough, on Google business profile, you do have to call it a product. So technically it's not a product, it's more so of a service, but that's just how they do it. And your website content. So for website content, you want to have it match the information that is on your Google business profile, as well as all your other directories. And this is where you need to make sure your GPB is not outdated. You need to be regularly posting to your Google business profile. For those of you who don't know, you can post. The posts do disappear. It's not like a post on a social media page where it stays there forever, but keep that content up to date. That's one of the biggest things that AI looks at, is the relevancy of the content and the quality of that content. So new and fresh content is huge. We know the power of reviews. We also know it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of people out there that leverage reviews for the wrong reasons. But it doesn't change the fact that reviews are going to be really important moving forward. Just like I said earlier, it's the human kind of catch on it. It's like, hey, maybe you have a great marketing company behind you, but if those patients come in, they're not seeing a good, service, or not liking their experience, they have the chance to review that practice. Now, ChatGPT. This is the one that everyone knows. But most dentists right now are not thinking of it as a patient acquisition channel. I've talked to a few people today who have said that within the last couple of months, they're starting to get patients from ChatGPT. That's how that patient found them. In the last 6 months, I can't tell you how many leads my company has come in from different AI. Again, they'll type in something like, hey, I heard about another company that they're considering. They're like, who is similar to this company? And we pop up, or vice versa. So people are turning to ChatGPT to do more so like that comparison research. They hear something, they want to make sure that everything is adding up. And again, 200 million weekly users that's a very, very high number. And they're asking questions like, how much do dental implants cost in Honolulu? Is sedation dentistry safe? What's the difference between a periodontist and an oral surgeon? And here's what makes ChatGPT different. It's used for validation. A patient may have already picked you from Google, and then they go to ChatGPT to confirm that decision. And that's when ChatGPT might like, hey, you should check out these other providers in the area. So this is where you get into that gray area. Is just because you're crushing it on Google doesn't mean that they're still going to end up using you, where in the past they would have. Now let's talk about Perplexity. Now, I'll be honest, Perplexity is the one that I have used the least. It is more of a deep research tool, but it's arguably the most valuable for dental practices. The people who use Perplexity are high-intent health researchers. These are the people that are not casually browsing. They care about their health. They are trying to make the right decision. And especially for a high-value service like implants, you better believe these people are doing their research. They want to make sure whoever they're about to go spend $10,000, $20,000 with, they can trust with that. And then again, it goes back to once they get to your website, because they're going to have links that they'll still go to your website. You need to have patient testimonials. You need to have good content on your website that further solidifies that you are the right choice. To be cited in Perplexity, you need authoritative, well-structured content, long-form, named authors, credential links. This is where we get into large language model optimization territory, which I'll get into here in a minute. Being cited in Perplexity means that your content is authoritative enough to be referenced by name, the highest form of AI visibility. So now let's make this real. We got best dentists for dental implants near me. And here's some examples of the different ways AI engines are going to be listing you and showing you in their results. The patient already knows they want implants. They're researching who to call at this point. So Google AI Overview is going to list 2 to 3 local specialists by name, cites practices with strong structured pages, good Google business profiles. And if you've done GEO, you're here. If not, your competitor here is. Now, GEO is Generative Engine Optimization, which again, I'll get through all those acronyms here in a minute. ChatGPT gives the framework for finding an implant specialist, then names practices with data that support it. Structured specialties and FAQ content are what gets you named. Gemini, detailed comparisons with ratings, estimated costs, and specializations. This is where your reviews and your GPP become critical inputs. I think what you're seeing here, though, is a lot of what gets you found in one gets you found in the other. Just like SEO. When you put out something, it's going to affect multiple sources. Like, it's not just one thing you can do for SEO. You got to do a bunch of different things. You will have all the directories you have to optimize, all the links, backlinks, etc. The patient may visit 1 or 2 websites before calling, but being in the AI answer is more valuable than being ranked number 1 organically. And I want that to sink in. Being featured in an AI answer right now is more valuable than ranking number 1. Now, how does AI respond to different types of questions? Google AI Overview is going to explain the causes. ChatGPT is going to give you a full educational explanation. Gemini is going to give you that detailed clinical answer. And Perplexity is going to answer those visible citations to dental sources. And this, again, is where your large language model blogging becomes a very key player. So let's talk about the 3 different types of optimization for AI search. There is GEO, AEO, and LLMO. So GEO is Generative Engine Optimization. And this is basically structuring and labeling your content for optimal ingestion, localization, and servicing within AI-generated summaries. So here, think of this as if I am asking a question like, what do I do for a cracked tooth in Honolulu? You want your answer to be cite price. Price is very important. Price is very important in a lot of these. And I know in the past we like to shy away from listing price, but the truth is we have to now. It doesn't have to be exact. And then the follow-up sentence could be like, hey, but you should schedule a consultation to come in for an x-ray so we can confirm that there's nothing else going wrong. But if it's just a simple cracked tooth, here's what it typically costs at your practice. Furthermore, and this is also directly related to SEO, it's all about structuring your pages the right way. So now your service pages should be structured in a way to appease all of these different types of optimization. So it's no longer just creating good content. It needs to be good content that is structured in 3 different ways. So again, GEO is more about your local intent. Like, because with Generative Engine Optimization, AI is making up an answer. Now they're pulling the data from the different sources available, but it's generating that answer. It's not pulling directly and citing directly something. It's saying, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is what you should do. So here are 5 things that you can do to audit your service pages. And just so you know, at the end of this presentation, I will have a QR code that if you scan it, you can download this whole entire slide to take it with you. And I am also here to answer any more specific detailed follow-up questions you might have. But you're going to recognize some of this for people that have actually gotten their hands dirty with SEO. I'm sure you've heard of H1. H1 is the title of that page. It is saying dental implants in city. Then in H2 is typically a question. What is a dental implant? With a paragraph explaining it. That's old school SEO. Again, now you want to have it tailored toward GEO in that first part of the page. Do you have 3+ labeled subheadings structuring the page content? Does the page explicitly address cost, candidacy, and recovery? Because you got to think, how are patients searching? How much does it cost? Am I a candidate? And how long is this going to take? Because let's be real, no one sits there and is excited to go to the dentist. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. They got to take time away from their family, from work. A lot of people are just terrified of going to the dentist, and it costs money. So what we're trying to show them here is, hey, it probably doesn't cost as much as you think, but at the end of the day, Wouldn't you rather have someone who knows exactly how much something costs instead of getting someone like, oh, I heard I can get a free implant. I saw an ad somewhere that says free implants. Like, I'm sure you've all gotten those types of spam calls in the past. As a person who runs a sales team, I would much rather disqualify people up front by showing them the prices of my services to where if they can't afford it, that's fine. Not everyone's going to be able to work with us, just like not everyone's going to be able to work with you. But I'd rather know that up front than have them come in, waste my time, waste my team's time. Are your provider credentials and affiliations available? Are you listing that you're a member of IDIA? Do you have a link to IDIA on your website? That's all very important. And then this is arguably the most important and one that we know has the most impact right now. It's called schema markup. Schema markup is structured data. Basically, it's us putting data structured in the right way on the back end of the website. So Google and AI, their preferred language of code is called JSON. So you want to have JSON code on the back end of the website that feeds this information to them in a way that makes it very easy for them to take that information and then feature it in either their search engine results and or answers within their AI engine. Now let's talk about AEO. This is, in layman's terms, quick questions, quick answers. So instead of saying like, hey, if you have a cracked tooth in Honolulu, you should do this, this, and this, is like, what do you do with a cracked tooth? Well, you should probably call a dentist right away. You should probably go get an x-ray done. Just very short answers. And really, frequently asked questions, people also ask. This is populated a lot. Like if you're on Google, you'll a lot of times see people also ask these questions. This is how you get featured in those types of results. Again, prevailing theme, cost. You want to start talking about how much your services cost. Immediate answer emergency pages. What do I do if my tooth is knocked out? Procedure-based questions. How soon after a dental implant placement can I resume normal eating? Again, these are not complex questions. There is a very simple answer to how soon you can start eating normally again. Process-based ordered lists. What are the steps of a root canal? List them out. What are the steps of an implant? List them out. And you might do things a little bit differently. Like not every practice has the exact same procedure or the list of things that they go through when performing these services. And then outcome-based questions. How long do dental implants last? How often do I need to replace my dentures? And this is also where if you are utilizing a company like Dental Warranty, who gives basically Apple Care for teeth, so if your implant ever fails, they'll replace that for you. You can list out things that you are doing to ensure that they're going to get the best possible outcome. So here is a very bad example and a good example of AEO and the way that they extract that information. So on the left, dental implant costs may vary depending upon many individual factors. It depends on your unique situation. Please contact us for your personalized consultation, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure that's on almost every single one of your websites right now. At ABC Dental in Dallas, single dental implants typically cost $3,000 to $5,000 depending upon bone density and grafting needs. Full arch restorations range from $20,000 to $35,000. We offer 0% financing through Care Credit, citing doctor name, board certified periodontist. That is a much more concise answer than the first one, which is very vague. So again, this is the biggest shift that we all have to go through, is giving them that information up front. And I'm telling, like in SEO, that was a great answer a while ago. Now you got to answer like that. So let's talk about how we structure every answer so AI can extract and cite it directly. Ideal FAQ structure. Use the exact question as your H2 or H3 heading. Now, if you're working with a good marketing company, they are going to be figuring out what types of questions are being asked in your area and then turning that and putting it on your page and answering those questions for you. Answer the question directly in the first sentence, provide 2 to 3 supporting sentences with clinical detail, and then include the practice name and doctor name for attribution. So again, you see that example on the right, which was on the previous page. That is how you want to answer questions. So creating content that directly answers what patients are asking. What are the steps of a root canal? So here's another example. Here's all the things that go into this procedure. And you should be doing this for all, if not all of them, at least all of the procedures that you want to do more of. Now let's talk about LLMO. This is the long game, and this is the one that compounds. GEO fixes your existing content for AI readability. AEO creates content AI can extract. And LLMO builds the kind of deep authority that AI systems are literally trained to recognize and recommend. There are 6 signals on this slide, and these are what AI looks for when it decides whether your practice is a credible source. Local expertise pages, choosing the best implant dentist in your city. Treatment comparison guides, dental implants versus bridges, Invisalign versus braces. Comparison, that is something that AI is very, very good at. And they want to see that you're also good at it, because then they can take that and do their own comparison and feature you in the results. Before after case studies. This is something that you're all already doing, but structuring it in the right way and making sure that, again, those headings are denoting this is the before, this is the after. Condition-based educational pages. So instead of a page that's called dental implants, maybe call it missing teeth, and then have information on dental implants on that page. What to expect procedure guides. You might already be sending this out to your patients after they receive your care, but it should also be listed on your website. Symptom checkers and myth versus fact pages. Why do my gums bleed? Why do my teeth feel loose? Dental implant myths. So if content was king with SEO, content is God with AI. It is more important than it's ever been. And I know for a while there we got away from the long form content, but it has made us come back. Blogging for SEO had more or less died in recent years. Blogging was great for SEO companies to show you all these very high numbers and clicks and impressions and all this great stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're ranking regionally, nationally, internationally for your blog, does that do anything for your business? In the past, it didn't. But now it is, because LLMO is going to start citing your complex questions and complex answers within those types of searches. So let's talk about what you need to look at when you are doing your LLMO the correct way. Proper HTML markup, which again is schema on the back end. You want to have your hierarchy, H1, H2, H3 structure. Named author and verified credentials. Content updated within the past 12 months. This is what I said earlier, relevancy is key. You don't need to go create a ton of new blogs. Like, you might have a really good blog from 13 months ago that you want to remove and rewrite so it shows up as a blog that was just posted. Word count, 1,000 plus. And there'll be varying people, like I would say on the low end, 800, but at least 800, 1,000 and better, or 1,000 and plus is better. Internal links to related procedural content. So if on your blog you just say dental implants, link that to your dental implants page. If you mention x-rays and consultation, link that to your x-rays and consultation page. The more you have your website talking to each other, the more AI, when they read that blog, they're going to go follow that link, analyze that page, and decide, oh, this is a great page that has a lot of authority. References and affiliations with recognized organizations. Again, you're establishing yourself as that go-to expert. You are building credible. You are the authority when it comes to dental implants. And you probably already are, but AI doesn't know that. It's your job, or your marketing company's job, to convince AI that they should be featuring you. So I could have gone on for a lot longer, and I know there's probably a lot of questions because I threw a lot of acronyms and things at you there. But I really appreciate all of you taking time. It's an honor to be a part of this organization. I hope you guys got something great from it. I will be here if you have any specific questions, but thanks again for all your time. I really appreciate it.